The World Junior Hockey Championship is now behind us. Sweden, gold medal winners, which means in Canada, we'll forget about this in a week until we want to get frustrated about the state of the game in this country. But a couple of players had a real opportunity to get back on track in what has been a season that hasn't really gone their way. And for Zayne Parekh and Gavin McKenna, the results, good. Maybe not what everyone was hoping for, but still pretty good, but definitely left us a lot to talk about. So let's do that and chat some World Juniors. So yes, the World Junior Hockey Championship now in the books for another year. And I thought it was an interesting tournament, just in general, an interesting tournament. When you have we thought the top three, Verhoff ends up not doing a whole lot, but you have, I guess, the top two draft prospects of this year's draft in a tournament that's not normally dominated by draft picks or by potential draft picks going in and kind of going head to head. And then you also had in Flamesland here, Zayne Parekh getting loaned down from the National Hockey League after what has not been an overly impressive or inspiring start to the season. So a lot of different talking points around it. And for Parekh, we'll start there. I think this tournament is, I feel like this tournament just solidified what you think of him regardless. I don't think it's changing anyone's mind. I think it's a Rorschach test for what you view Zayne Parekh as. If you like Zayne Parekh, this tournament drives home what you like about him, right? The offensive skill, that shot is lethal, and the instincts, the skating, all of that, you're going to love him, right? So if you already liked Zayne Parekh, you probably love him now. And if you didn't like Zayne Parekh, this tournament drives home why you don't, right? Because it wasn't phenomenal defensively. And I don't know how much of that was his fault, but it wasn't phenomenal defensively. And he did have a few issues in the areas where everyone thinks he's going to have issues with. So I don't think this tournament did anything to change anyone's mind on the kid at all. I'm in the camp of liking him, so I liked what he did. Are there concerns about the defensive side of things? Of course there are. But I also think that the offensive side kind of outweighs it. And I remember when he was drafted and we're talking about the process, and we had someone at 960 text in saying, oh, he's going to be the next Erik Karlsson. I was like, yeah, we hope. And the texter was like, no, don't want that. Excuse me? Erik Karlsson was one of the best defensemen in the NHL for a number of years, and Norris Trophy winner and all of that. If Zayne Parekh turns into Erik Karlsson, you're laughing. It's not Karlsson's fault. Ottawa didn't turn it around in the way that they wanted to and didn't get beyond the points that they did. But Parekh, there's always going to be detractors for a number of different reasons. But from a hockey standpoint, the defensive side, it always feels like offensive defensemen always have that but that they have to answer for. And yet you don't like him just going across and tackling a dude on the rush for Finland. I will say, and just in defending him, because again, I liked him going into this, so I'm looking for the positives, I guess. I will say, this was his first hockey in a while. And so to get thrown in at this high of a level after not playing for a month and a bit, that's a lot to ask of a guy. But you see what makes him so tantalizing, and you see what makes him a game breaker, and you see everything the Flames need, right? Power play quarterback out there who has phenomenal offensive instincts. The skating is second to none, right? He is gliding out there, and just when he has the puck in the offensive zone, he feels like he is in complete control of the game. If he gets to even a fifth of that at the NHL level, he's going to be fine. That shot, probably better than a lot of people anticipated. His vision on the offensive side, great. The defensive side, I still think he's going to come around to it. I think from a Flames standpoint, you kind of just got to let him be him, and you got to let him play. Everyone who I've talked to about this guy, and a lot of those conversations sparked up again here around the World Juniors, everything gets driven home how smart this dude is. He finished school early just so he could focus on hockey. There's obviously a passion for it. There's obviously a drive there, and there's obviously a high level of intellect that goes on with a really strong work ethic. And you hear about his time in the OHL, and I was told it took him about a month. And then he figured it out, and he knew everything that he was doing wrong, and he knew what he could do and how he could completely dominate. And he ended up getting 30 goals in back-to-back seasons for a defenseman, which was only ever done by Bobby Orr. So I'm not saying let him play for a month and he's going to be Bobby Orr at the NHL level, but I don't think the stop and start with him is the way to go. I think he has to be out there. I think he has to be seeing what's going wrong, what's going right, and figuring out how he can make it all work around that. So I feel like you just need to let him figure the NHL level out. He is so smart and so talented, and there are going to be mistakes, and that has to be fine, because this is going to be a young team for the Flames for a while now. You have to be okay with mistakes. It can't be one mistake and you're up in the press box for 2 games and all of that, because you can see what it's doing to him. Like, the comments after his first big game against Czechia there, like the dude sound like he was just absolutely abused almost. And I'm not suggesting the Flames were, but you hear the comments about how awful this year has been and how he needed a rebound like this. And it's like, it hasn't been great, but it hasn't been to the point where he should be sounding like he's coming back from war. So obviously this is grinding on him mentally. Obviously this is all wearing on him. And so I think what this whole experience told me is that the Flames, I think, need to manage this kid a little bit differently. And you have to understand, like, everyone is a little bit different. You can't just blanket 1 for 23. All right, we have to talk to everyone, manage everyone the exact same way. Treat them fairly, but you can't yell at one person and then not yell at the other one, or you can't yell at one person and just yell at that one because that's the way we do it. If that person's each person's going to react to those a little bit differently. That's like leadership 101. And so obviously whatever was happening with this kid needs to be altered a little bit, because that sounded just like a broken down guy. And that's not what you want from the most important prospect in your organization at this particular time. To Deeds' point, these comments of Parekh going back to the juniors, short of a confidence boost, it'll not serve him well. He is not going to focus on his defensive side of game there. I 100% agree. Like, the reason he's playing up with the Flames is that he's past that level, right? Like, he has figured out the OHL in a phenomenal way, right? Like, 30 goals at that league. And he got off to a bit of a slower start the season before. Yeah, last season. And then he scored 30. But he got off to a bit of a slower start because he was just focusing on one thing. And it wasn't helping him, because that's not his game. And you don't want him to just be a defensive defenseman. He's never going to be that. But he was trying to be that in his first little bit at the OHL in his post-draft year, I guess. Because, well, that's the thing I need to work on, so that's what I'm going to work on. I think he would just do that again, and you're not going to really get a fully rounded part of his game. You have to work on the defensive side while also accepting he's going to shoot a couple of times too. So I don't think anyone should be sending him back to junior. That doesn't make a lick of sense to me at all. The conditioning stint that you could do with him in the AHL, if you're still able to do that makes a lot of sense to me, just because things are a little crowded at the NHL level at this particular time for him. But like I said, I think just letting him go out there and play is the thing you need to do with Zayne Parekh right now and the Calgary Flames. Tall John, once again, if the Flames organization is real about not making the playoffs, they need to let the kids play to get experience, and they need to tag team the goalies, let the season go as it does. Will set us up better for the new rink and the future. I agree. Like, let Parekh make his mistakes now. Let him make the mistakes against Boston in January, where, we're now second worst in the National Hockey League. Let him make those mistakes so he can learn from them, so at the time you're good again, off you go. And off and running it is, and he's now figured it all out. Like, don't messing around with it now. It obviously isn't working. And then the robot comments. I had no problem with it, but I knew other people would. And then you hear the apology, and it's like, that's exactly what a robot would say. I get it, and I understand. Like, he probably shouldn't have said that, talking about the Flames and how everyone wants him to be a robot and all of those things. Like that, I can see where the Flames would not be thrilled with that. But, like, for us, you know that has kind of been the Flames thing, right? Like, they don't really stir the pot all that much. And there was a lot of talk when Matthew Tkachuk was here about how they weren't necessarily happy with how he was handling things on or off the ice at different times. And I think this drives it home. And so again, I I just really think this introduction to the NHL was really hard on him. And he's thinking about like being a robot in the press conference, and you have to play in the structure and all of that. And that's not him. And I'm not saying you just let him do whatever he wants just so that he's happy, because that's not going to be beneficial either. But you have to find a way where you can kind of mold the style that you want with what makes him so exceptional at what he does. It can't just be, well, this is what the Calgary Flames do, and we've developed, well, at least 2 good defensemen in the last 30 years, so we know what we're doing. It can't be that. You have to figure out what his strengths are and how they can work in the system, but it can't just be, well, Kuznetsov does it, so why can't you do it? And it can't just be, well, this is how we do media, so you have to figure it out. Because now you are taking away everything that makes him, him. And you need all the things that make him, him. So I think there needs to be a bit of an adjustment of how the Flames handle this dude now going forward at the NHL level. The other player who there was a lot of focus on at the World Juniors was Gavin McKenna. And I think people are overreacting to it a touch. I get that this hasn't gone well for him this season. And this kind of did need to be the Bedard, Celebrini, even Lafreniere before he got hurt at that tournament. This needed to be that for him to get back into the spot. And instead, Stenberg had a very good tournament. But I thought McKenna looked really good. Like some of the passes, that one in the bronze medal game where he just whistles it across. He had so many just turn fire and it's right on the tape passes. Like he showed me that high level of skill is obviously still there. Like, he didn't forget how to play hockey in the last 6 months. And so, like, did I see this guy is going to take over the NHL next season? No, I didn't, to be perfectly frank. So I guess there is some merit to the reacting that is going on. But I think people are being way too hard on Gavin McKenna going into this one. And I hate how this has gone for him, because he chose to challenge himself, right? He chose to go to the NCAA to push himself. It is an adjustment. It's a new country. It is a new lifestyle being at college, and it is playing against guys bigger, older, stronger. So all of that, yeah, there's going to be a bit of an adjustment period. And so I guess you would have liked to see him come back, play against guys his own age, and really dominate. But again, he looked like a good first-line player to me. And everyone kind of taking runs at him. I don't get it. So I feel bad because he kind of, again, best way I can say it, he chose to challenge himself. And it hasn't gone great. And now you think about it, like, I don't know if we're having the discussions about Verhoff or Stenberg passing him in the draft if he stayed in the dub, and he's already at 70 points this season, and Medicine Hat's in first place, and they're just cruising by everyone. But would that be better for his development? Probably not. I think this type of a season is going to be good for him, but you can understand where people would get a little bit concerned that maybe this is more Shane Wright than it is Connor Bedard, and have a bit of that worry. So I love that he has tried this. I hate that it isn't going very well for him. And if the Flames don't get the first overall pick and 1 and 2 or whoever pass on him, then with a smile on my face and a tear in my eye, I would take Gavin McKenna on the Flames tomorrow. I like that. That part of it hasn't changed for me even a little bit. I still think this kid is really, really good. Deeds in the chat. The World Junior Championship did nothing for my view of Parekh. Good or bad, more confirmed what I thought, but it did help my view of Reshny. That's an excellent point. I did mean to get to that in the Parekh part of it. But yeah, I thought Reshny looked really good. And kind of that 200-foot game that I'm saying, look, you don't need to be all that hard on Parekh about because he's so gifted offensively. Reshny had kind of that 200-foot game to him, and pretty good shot he showed offensively, and just all around really strong play in the whole of the ice. Again, like he's not the dominant number one center that's going to turn this organization around. Like, you don't see it and go, okay, rebuild done, we got our guy. But he is absolutely going to be a part of things when this Flames team is good again. There's no question about it. I think you feel very, very good about that pick. And I think it really drives home just the home run that the Flames were able to hit there. Tall John agreeing as well. The last point I will have, and I guess Reshny kind of goes against it because he also going the NCAA route and has done pretty well so far. But I wonder how this affects top prospects going to the NCAA now, because McKenna was as top prospect as it gets. We've been talking for multiple years about tanking to eventually get Gavin McKenna. And now that we are here and he's trying something new at the NCAA level, well, now people are a little upset about it and a little hard on the kid. So you wonder if the next one coming up after him maybe rethinks this a little bit. And it's like, hey, I'm just going to go just whoop that ass in junior for another year and be fine. I'm not messing with that because I don't want to hurt the draft stock all that much. So I wonder if this kind of changes the conversation around some of those as well. Tall John here. I think it was tough for some of the kids when they are playing in front of more people day to day than they showed up for the biggest spotlight of their career so far. The fan base was horrible minus the USA games. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird atmosphere there for sure. Like you're expecting, all right, Canada, World Juniors, let's go. And it was just there. And you have to walk through another rink to get to your ice and all of that. So yeah, it's a weird one. And also, we do need to remember, just because this is the last time a lot of us are going to watch some of these kids, doesn't mean this is the only part of the whole development thing. There have been many a player who have just been absolute doo-doo at the World Juniors, who have gone on to have fine National Hockey League careers. And the flip side, there have been players that have dominated at the World Juniors and gone on to be nothing at the NHL level, right? So this isn't the be-all, end-all for it, but I do understand on the McKenna side that maybe people wanted a little bit more out of that particular player. I still saw a really talented hockey player, and I wouldn't, if my team was in any position to draft him, wouldn't hesitate for a second to make him a cornerstone part of my franchise. But what do you guys think? Is there panic for either Parekh or McKenna? Let me know in either the chat for those watching live or in the comments after the fact. Again, we are streaming this one live here today, and I think things are going well so far. But yes, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick is where we stream all of these here. Going to be back live, guaranteed anyway, on Thursday. Time to be determined. But Thursday we're going to be back going live. Not going to be tomorrow. And if it is, it's going to be some kind of a video game thing. It's not going to be one of these. But keep it locked on my social media at Primetime Klein. You can see at the bottom of the screen there for updates on when we are going live.